I never want to feel erased again. Back when I was breaking records on my projects, my name would not be on the slide because I wasn't visible enough. That's why like I moved to social media to share I worked on that project. It's at least real to me. Representing that in content has been huge. Yeah, I really want to fight for it.
Hi, everyone. Today, I am here with Miss Chloe Shih.
Hello.
She is an amazing content creator who is known for her honesty and her openness. Chloe has worked at many major tech companies like Google, Facebook, TikTok, Caffeine, and Discord, with roles ranging from partnerships to product. And during her time in these roles, she found inspiration in the lack of career resources that she found for herself as an Asian American woman. And so she set out to solve that problem and essentially create transparency herself by becoming a content creator. Yes, Chloe excelled at her tech career, landing a spot on the 2023 Forbes 30 Under 30 list. Congratulations on that. Amazing. And then at the top of this year, in 2024, she experienced a layoff. And she posted about it. And that story ended up going mega viral. And the layoff became a moment that really shifted your trajectory. Now, as a woman in her 30s, she is essentially starting over. Chloe is continuing to navigate her career, her home, and her life her way, honestly, creatively, and with intention.
Oh, thank
welcome.
you.
Yeah, welcome to the podcast, Chloe. I'm so excited to have this convo with you.
I'm so pumped too. What a dream to be here.
Yeah, I want to give our listeners a little bit of a background because I remember in 2018.
Yeah.
Getting an email from Chloe.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't meet her personally, but you met Helen and Mel up in San Francisco
Correct.
at an event.
Yeah,
This is when
Heritage
you were,
SF.
Yeah, you were deep in the early stages of your tech career, really go-getter type of girl. And I just remember that email being so sweet and filled with ambition. This girl who was like, I love your podcast. Here's some of my work. So it's just such a full circle moment for me personally. I love seeing all that you've been able to accomplish and all that you've done. And now to be able to have you on the show and share your story with our listeners. So
Thank you. Yeah. Wait, why weren't you there at the event?
I don't remember, honestly, like I probably had like a family thing or something like that. But yeah, I wasn't able to make it. And we've had a couple of events like that where it's like a couple of us and someone will be like, oh my God. And I'll get photos or things like that.
Oh, dang. I actually have that picture.
Do you? Oh my gosh.
It was with Helen and Mel. But yeah. And then I also looked back at my old emails and I was like, oh, this is so cringe.
It's not cringe. No.
Wait,
no.
why did I send that?
I think that's when you know and you see in someone this like drive and this real ambition and this real passion and genuine like authentic passion for what you were doing.
Yeah.
And so we feel like you obviously align so much with our mission and our community and what we want to do and what we've been doing and what you've been doing. So I just want to start by congratulating you, first of all, on taking a gap year because you've gone through a lot. And you've done a lot, and you are such an example for those who experience something like a layoff that I think sometimes can have maybe like a bit of stigma associated with it. Okay. And you've been so amazing in sharing it so vulnerably and openly and done it with such grace and poise and demonstrated to people, like all the different facets of what it is to go through a layoff. And so I want to start by just kind of asking you to talk a little bit about your gap year. How is it going? What are you up to? Let us know.
Yeah, it was crazy. It was like the most insane year of my life.
Yeah.
I think January happened, part of the mass layoffs. So many people got laid off this year, like over 120,000 tech employees got laid off. So it's like, it's just been wave after wave after wave. And then when it happened, remember that person, the girl from Cloudflare, went viral too, and she recorded like 10 minutes of her actual meeting.
Yes,
So it was her and then my video back to back.
Dang.
So I got like caught up in that wave.
Oh my gosh,
and that was sort of, hers was very controversial.
Yeah.
And mine was like very neutral. Like, oh, I just reacted to it like,
Yeah.
But then because it was in that same wave, everyone clumped us together. And then it was kind of hard to manage the negative PR. I don't know.
Yeah.
So it went mega viral, and that was like, part of it was interesting and part of it was cool, but part of it was also very scary. I had a lawyer up.
Oh my gosh.
To protect myself.
I can't imagine how. Yeah. And that was it like overnight? Like literally you went to bed, put your video up, and then.
I mean, yeah, I think it was doing I knew it would cause caused an uproar because
Yeah.
like the last time I had a mini moment was when I left TikTok and I talked about why I quit TikTok.
Yeah.
And that was within the tech industry, a little bit viral.
Mm-hmm.
But then with this one, it just shot up. And it got to a point where it was cool and people were resonating with it because everyone was going through it.
Yeah.
But then it got to like Twitter and got to like Elon Musk fanboy territory. And that was terrifying. And then I was on, do you know what Blind is?
No, I don't. What is
Blind is like anonymous forums for tech workers.
Oh, I have heard about it.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
It's very toxic. And then so
Yeah.
people like shredded me apart there.
Oh my gosh.
And then there was like a big media company, like top 3 in the world, that did a broadcast television episode on me and like made fun of me and made some racist comments. And then I had to lawyer up again. And then it was like a battle with their legal team.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was January.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was crazy.
Welcome to 2024. My God.
I know. It was so insane. Like, I think publicly I didn't say anything, but then there's all these things happening in the background, and I never read this much law in my life. And I was like fighting behind the scenes. I consulted a lot of like people that we have mutual friends with in the entertainment side to be like, what do I do? Should I protect myself? How do I do this? And it was really fascinating because it's like AAPI entertainment executives.
Yeah.
And half of them were like, you shouldn't say anything. Do you want a career in entertainment at all? And I'm like, I don't know.
Oh, I see.
And the other half is like, yeah, go public.
Yeah.
Like, bad corp. And I'm like, oh my God.
So you basically had like opposing viewpoints and all from all ends.
It truly was. It truly was. So that was so chaotic.
Yeah.
I then went to creator life and I guess joined talent management for like the second time.
Yeah.
And that was like a whole debacle. And then I signed a contract in Taiwan to do Tech for Taiwan media work. So that was like a whole chapter.
Yeah.
February, March, April.
I remember talking to you right before you were, I think it was the night before your flight.
Oh my God, you're right. I was so stressed out. Like I swear to God, I had a panic attack.
I saw it in your eyes I was like, I know she knows that this is a great opportunity, but also it's like so much. It's so much. And to, like you said, something happens and you're having to basically ride this wave. It's just so much that's probably taking a toll on you mentally, physically, emotionally. And you're just like, I got to go. I'm going to make this and I got to make decisions along the way and figure this out.
Yeah.
So that was that February then? Or?
So I think we met in March.
March, okay.
Yeah, we met in March.
Yeah.
And I definitely, I mean, it was good. It was a good experience.
Yeah.
But I don't know how I did it.
Pure
I look back and I'm
adrenaline.
like, oh, that really happened. I built a whole 10-hour course.
Yeah.
And I interviewed a lot of content creators, professionals, business managers. Like I interviewed the general manager of Line Taiwan who built Line Pay. That's like a really big deal in the world of consumer tech.
It is.
Yeah. And so that was that. Summer was hiring my first full-time employee and hiring out a team, launching JOMO. And then that was crazy. And then the season finale of JOMO season 1 was last week, I believe.
Congratulations. Oh my gosh. Sometimes searching for the right doctor is like a bad Mad Libs. You need a blank specialist who takes your blank insurance, who is within blank miles of you, who doesn't have a blank month wait to get in for an appointment. Well, ZocDoc makes it easy to fill in those blanks to help you find the right doctor for your specific needs. ZocDoc is a free app and website where you can search and compare high-quality in-network doctors, choose the right one for your needs, and click to instantly book an appointment. We are talking about in-network appointments with more than 100,000 healthcare providers across every specialty, from mental health to dental health, eye care to skincare, and much more. You can filter for doctors who take your insurance, are located nearby, and are highly rated by verified patients. Plus, ZocDoc appointments happen fast, typically within just 24 to 72 hours of booking. You can even score same-day appointments. If I had needed this product, it is what I would use, so stop putting off those doctor appointments and go to ZocDoc.com/ABG to find and instantly book a top-rated doctor today. That's ZocDoc.com/ABG. ZocDoc.com/ABG. I mean, you basically have just been nonstop then, right? It's like layoff happens and then all these different potential opportunities open up. And then so you kind of move towards that. But yeah, I think it's been really amazing to watch you kind of like play around and experiment and try all these different things. It's really inspiring and to do it so successfully. We'll talk about the podcast a little bit later.
Yeah.
But I'm curious, so like, obviously your career and your content creation has taken such a different journey just only in the last year. But when you started creating content, you were kind of more for the tech audience, right? That was your kind of the person you were speaking to. Who do you think your audience is now? Do you think it's like changed at all?
I think it's still quite similar. Perhaps it's mostly working women.
Mm.
But actually, when I first started off, it was a lot of men. Yeah.
Oh,
And it was
okay.
like not fun.
Yeah. Talk about that.
Yeah. Because I initially went into content, and I think we're supposed to talk about this, but
It's okay. We'll talk about it.
I
Yeah.
was like, oh, why start content? Why did you go into it?
Yeah.
And it really was this this recurring theme of feeling erased in the corporate space.
Yeah.
And why does it feel so hard to break into the upper ranks or even break into the one job? And I
Yeah.
feel like I worked so hard all my life. Why?
Yeah.
And I realized there's like this invisible game with invisible rules that no one tells you if you don't
Yeah.
come from those backgrounds. And I wanted to share all of that. So I first started off with career tips, but when it says like, oh, how to, become a product manager or like ace your interview or answer this question, you get a lot of like desperate, I really want my resume to be fixed. I really want a job.
Yeah.
And there's a lot, it's very male oriented, unfortunately, or it's like very interesting. But the
Yeah.
connection with the viewer is just extremely desperate. Like, give me this, give me this, give me this.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, I don't know if I can keep up with that kind of energy.
Yeah.
And there are great creators who do that. And then I tried my best to transition to career stories and stories of the everyday life.
Yeah.
And I purposely try to build an aesthetic for the feminine eye, the female eye.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then became more women centric.
Ah.
Yeah.
When did that shift start happening?
Probably 2 years ago.
2 years ago. Okay.
Yeah. But it was really hard. Like
Yeah.
I think it was my career stuff was doing really well, and then it plummeted because of that transition. I was like, I'd rather take the right eyeballs
Yeah.
and create the right connection than knowing I can create some sort of sensational piece about career, money, jobs, interviews.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's speaking to kind of one of the challenges of working in like the creator space, right? Is really like it's one thing to build an audience, it's another to build an audience that really resonates, that you
Yeah.
resonate with, and
Yep.
that you want to continue feeling like, feeling that relationship with.
Yeah.
But so you did say though, like within your career in the tech space, you've always been someone who talked a lot about being an Asian American woman in that very male dominated setting and the importance of diversity and representation and being able to like fight for resources for people who come from a background that isn't maybe necessarily like an automatic in. From that perspective, is there like a moment you can think, whether it was like a project or a meeting, where you felt like a really big like culture shock, or it was like really hard and you had to make an adjustment in order to succeed in that career?
I think there are a couple of those, oh, what moments?
Yeah.
The first one going into industry was you don't listen to authority. Like, I think growing up Asian and like authority parents, professors, seniors, you listen to them and you don't question.
Yeah.
But I think question deeply, but tactfully, because otherwise, if you don't get the assignment, if you don't get the objective and you do the wrong thing and you align yourself with the wrong person, then you're kind of screwed. So being able to build that scrutiny is really, really important.
Yeah. And it is, you're right, very opposite of kind of even I think just like being, because you can get to a place of being very successful up until that point, just following the rules, right?
Yeah.
And like doing the thing that people tell you to do.
Yeah.
So it's like a very distinct shift when you start going into the workforce of then success now means you have to question. And
It's scary to go against someone who's like 10, 20 years your senior and be like, I think you're wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, to look them in the eye and they look at you in the eye and they obviously don't respect you. That takes a lot of courage.
Yeah. Was there a specific like moment that you remember kind of that happening, whether it was like a meeting or a project, and how did that go?
I think it's less about like a moment, but I think there was a time in my startup days. This is probably like the worst like I've experienced, where I was the youngest on the team, on a team of like 10 men who are also 20 years my senior. And the way that things got done was whoever was the loudest person who said it last. So that's like a really combative environment to be in.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's just like a business partnerships archetype personality, but I had to I was so quiet that they gave me a bell. So
Oh my
I'd had to
gosh.
tap the bell
Yeah.
to speak up, but I was too scared to like tap the bell because I thought that was like so shameful and embarrassing. They had me go through assertiveness training
Oh my
because I
gosh.
was like so bad at talking. And then there came a point where I just put my head down and I got a lot of work done. And I was the first to close probably the first 2 deals of a new project. And then remember, you know how like that first 5 minutes, that awkward 5 minutes in a meeting where it doesn't start yet?
Yeah.
And then people are like shooting the shit, whatever.
Yeah.
I remember being there and one guy was like, "Oh, Chloe, how did you manage to close your first deals? Like I can't finish any." And another guy chimes in and is like, "Oh, I know why. I mean, we work in the games industry after all, and who would say no to a young, beautiful woman?" And I'm just like, "What?" It was hella cringe.
Yeah.
I was so shocked. They were like, "Who would say no to someone like me who's young and who would ask them for something?" I'm like, "What?
Wow.
What?" And it was just dead silent.
Yeah.
It was just so awkward. I think someone else did be like, "Yo, what the hell is that? That was so strange."
Okay, so
And
it was called out at
it
least.
was called
Yeah.
out, but it's also swept under the rug. And it took that man, I think, 2 months to apologize to me.
Oh my
Like I
gosh.
couldn't look at him the next day. So I think that's less of the lesson that I shared, but more
Yeah.
of when you are perceived as young. And yeah, I was young, but when you're perceived that way and not seen as a partner or an equal or someone who can contribute value, which is probably what a lot of this package will convey to people who don't understand this.
Yeah.
You go through these microaggressions and you have to navigate them, and you have to build already a gut instinct to react in the moment. Otherwise, it festers
Yeah,
and it
yeah.
becomes blown out of proportion and gets escalated, and then you lose your job because of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
yeah.
hard.
Thank you for sharing that. I think that probably a lot of our listeners who work in the corporate setting, no matter the industry or your role, you have experienced microaggressions. Or for some people out there, maybe you don't even really understand what a microaggression is yet. So your example right there could serve for someone else to be like, "Oh my God, I never thought that I was like, demeaned or anything, but like I've experienced something like that."
Yeah.
So thank you. Yeah. And I
Yeah.
think being able to share with people in that instance when you can to speak up and to address it, because otherwise it can fester and take someone 2 months to get back to you on that.
To the first lesson of like, authority, you have to build your own guiding compass with work. I think the next level is a little bit upper leadership, where I had to learn that leadership is not just working hard. Leadership is your ability to convince other people that you're right, like their confidence in you,
Yeah.
in your opinion. So building conviction and being like, "No, this is right because XYZ, and here's how I convince all of you." I think that was such a shift for me. So I was like, "Oh, well, we just look at the data, blah, blah, blah."
Yeah.
But a lot of the leadership that I've seen was like, you don't look at the data, you follow your intuition.
I encounter that in the workplace a lot too,
Yeah.
which was,
It was so strange. It was so strange. As I get older, I realize where that comes from. You don't always have to do everything through the checklist, through the right process. You build that intuition, and over time you become more right, and you're able to explain why from like a very simple storyline or through line.
Yeah.
And that was fascinating.
I used to love reading books as a kid, but somehow as an adult, I find it harder and harder to make the time, which is why I appreciate platforms like Audible where I can get my fix in audiobook format. I'm able to enjoy Audible while I'm doing other things like commuting through LA traffic, doing household chores, exercising, whatever. Audible makes it super easy to be inspired and entertained as part of my everyday routine without needing to set aside extra time. I've been listening to The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, which I heard about from Mel and has been on my list forever. Honestly, if it weren't for Audible, I probably wouldn't get to it. Audible has the best selection of audiobooks without exception, along with popular podcasts and exclusive Audible originals, all in one easy app. Find genres you love and discover new ones. Explore bestsellers, new releases, plus thousands of included audiobooks, podcasts, and originals that members can listen to all they want, with more added all the time. There's more to imagine when you listen. New members can try Audible now free for 30 days with your first audiobook included. Visit audible.com/ABG or text ABG to 500-500. That's audible.com/ABG or text ABG to 500-500.
When you think back to like your different roles, was there a particular role where you felt like that it really helped you kind of develop that type of practice and get confident in that?
Definitely product management. Yeah, because I think for all the other roles I've had, they were more support. But then for product, I mean, you've worked in UX before, so you understand very deeply. In the world of product, like I guess for the PM role specifically, if the team wins, or if the product wins, then it's the team's success. If the product fails, then it's on you. It's your fault. So I think a lot of PMs are deathly afraid of failing. And so we have to be so obsessed with making sure all the levers are in the right place. Like, do we believe this lever will move whatever objective we're trying to achieve? Because in the end, we're eating that. We're eating that on our career. Like that's tough. That's a tough pill to swallow.
Your reputation is on the line.
Yeah. So that's been really cool to build. I think such a specific eye for things, like a scrutinizing eye, be able to like analyze really clearly, deeply, cut through the BS and get to the root of it and be like, no, I'm not going to take that on. It's not going to work.
Did you have anyone in your career so far who has felt like kind of a mentor for that?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah. So many people. I mean, my biggest first one was, I don't know if you know him, Teddy Liao. He's the CEO of NextRep. He was part of TACL and did a lot with like local politics. He's like kind of more of a private person, but I joined his nonprofit, the Global Leadership Organization, which is part of like the Taiwanese American Citizens League. And he was a big part of my life. He introduced me to a lot of people in the tech and entertainment space in San Francisco. He introduced me to Andrew Chow, Boba Guys. And then moving forward at TikTok, there's a man named Sean Bonowitz, who was a senior director at Trust and Safety. He also went to Patreon and is now at a new company. He was like ex-military and pushed me to negotiate for myself. He helped me like negotiate a lot.
Wow.
Yeah. And then after that, I think working at Discord was awesome because I got to work with people who were more around my age bracket, but also took a different path from me, and they were able to see me for who I was, and they were there in the trenches with me to build my conviction and confidence up, and I absolutely love them for it.
Oh my gosh. Well, what stands out to me in your story is like you really actively sought out mentors, because the people that you named were like not necessarily in the workplace, right? Like you kind of went around into your community and looked for individuals who you admired and you could learn from, who could advocate for you and give you like resourcing. And to hear you talk about Discord actually reminds me, there was like a particular job for me when I worked in tech as well, that it just feels like sometimes it's the right time, the right people, the right product, and
feels
things
so
just
good.
jive.
Yeah. It's like, oh, wait a minute, this is not normal. This is awesome.
And you just happen to be in the right place in your career where you have like the right amount of skill to kind of really meet the demand of that role.
Yeah, but I don't think I would have known that had I not had such horrific past experiences. Yeah, then I would have been like, oh, is there something better? But I know it's hard to get a good job and
it is.
Like your manager and like your team and your product. And get paid well at the same time.
It's a hard and rare thing to come through in a career, right? So, but I want to now talk a little bit more about the layoff experience. So that happened in early 2024 this year, but even before it actually happened, you started suspecting that it was going to happen, right?
Oh my God,
and you were very open and vulnerable with your audience, like, so the end of 2023, you're like sharing that you're kind of feeling like this thing is going to happen, and then it happens, and you share it also with them during that process, and then the post of it, always having to like be able to articulate and bring your like audience along with you on this journey. Once again, I want to commend you on that, because like I don't know. I think it's just like, as someone who has also been like in content creation, shared some very vulnerable things, like as you're going through it, I know how tough it can be, especially around topics that could potentially be very like personal or have like, certain connotations associated with them. So thank you for doing that and doing it with such poise and sharing with people. But I'm curious now that it's been like about a year.
Oh my God.
Not quite a year, like in 8, 9, 10 months. But like, do you feel any sense of like a vulnerability hangover?
I don't really think so. I mean, there are people who probably look down on me because, oh, she got laid off, blah, blah, blah. She must not be that good. But like those people don't understand how tech industry works.
Yeah.
And it just do be like that. And some of the greatest talent got laid off just because they were on the wrong team or they're just paid a little bit too much because they negotiated for themselves. And they became an expense for the business. And they're like, well, we're going to go with a different direction. And you're incredible and you're amazing. But this is how I'm going to show the shareholders we're doing well. And it'd be like that. So I think that for those people who judged so hard, they are extremely short-sighted. And I only wish for them to have their growth arc soon. Just like, hope you go through your growth arc. Hope the challenges come and you change. But I think that I almost felt like I could have done more. I actually held back a lot.
If you could go back now in hindsight, is there anything you would have done differently?
I think I wanted to help share more opportunities because part of doing something so public and going viral is you get a huge inbound. Like I literally got hundreds of messages being like, I can refer you. Do you want a job? This headcount opened. I'd love to hire you. Can their loss be our gain? It's really sweet. But I didn't have the mental capacity to sift through the messages. Like till this day, I haven't gone through all of the messages. And I wish I could have spread those opportunities. And I tried, but it was, the legal stuff, managing the end of everything, figuring out what the next start is, securing the remaining paychecks, doing healthcare. I also got married for the insurance.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Talk about... Chloe's like, let's do all the life events right now.
Just speed run it. But it was lit. We went to a courthouse in Beverly Hills.
Oh, I love that. That's like the nice, simple, efficient, effective, get it done.
And we had Roberta, just help us get married. She was awesome. I loved her vibe. It was great. But yeah, it was a lot. And I wish I could have done more, but I was only one person handling it all.
Yeah. So some of the relationships that you had from like your coworkers, do you still talk to them to this day?
God, yes.
And so for you, there wasn't really a sense of a vulnerability hangover. If anything, you wish you maybe would have shared more or been able to done more.
Yeah, but I will say my case is not common. I think in my heart of hearts, I was ready. And I was already considering like, oh, what is life like outside of this? So when it happened, part of it was like terrifying, but part of it was like, someone chose for me and I didn't have to flip-flop. Had I not been laid off, I don't think I'd ever would have chosen this path and to take this gap year and try all these things this year. I never would. My risk-averse ass would never. Like, it's hard. It's hard to intentionally make that decision. Yeah. It's almost easier if someone else did it for you. Like a breakup, right? It's like so hard to break up with them, but they're kind of good, but they're kind of not.
The limbo is the worst. So you're right. In some senses, maybe this event for you was, even though it feels like it's like such a challenge and like the climax of something, but in some ways the suffering was harder not knowing, right?
I think I sought advice from another person. It's crazy, internal, like within the community. You definitely know this person. And he's in the AAPI space, and I was getting his advice on probably a piece I was writing. And then he was like, you shouldn't post about this too much because you seem like you're milking it. And I'm like, you know what? You're the one who milks your content. Like, have you seen milking? Have you seen this mirror? And I was like, dude, that was so disrespectful. But it stayed with me, which is why I held back.
Oh, interesting. Okay. So maybe, I think everything happens for a reason, and how that was handled maybe it was for a reason. Right?
But I would give myself a very high grade for surviving that time of life.
Yes, definitely. This time of year, I find myself reflecting on things that I'm grateful for, like family, friends, and the fact that I can help my skin stay healthy and resilient as I get older. And that is thanks to today's sponsor, OneSkin. Their face topical supplement and eye topical supplement are my go-tos. This duo saved my skin from the summer UV rays, and it's helping me get through the dryness of winter season. Most skincare available on the market is designed to provide a temporary reduction in visible signs of aging. They only treat the surface symptoms. What I really love about OneSkin is that they treat the root cause, which is an underlying decline in skin health as we get older. In a third-party 12-week clinical study, OS01 Face was clinically proven to strengthen the skin barrier, improve skin health markers, and diminish visible signs of aging. Wrinkles were diminished in 87% of users. OneSkin is the world's first skin longevity company.
OneSkin addresses skin health at the molecular level, targeting the root causes of aging so skin behaves, feels, and appears younger. It is time to get started with your new face, eye, and body routine at a discounted rate today. Get 15% off with the code ABG at oneskin.co. That's 15% off oneskin.co with code ABG. After you purchase, they'll ask you where you heard about them. Please support our show and tell them that we sent you. We only have one body, one skin, and only you can choose to make it better. Age healthy with OneSkin.
Well, I mean, as someone who's gone through that experience now, has that changed your perspective on like job security and career fulfillment?
I knew job security was never a thing. I've hopped around so many companies and I've seen so many people get fired and leave. I think job security comes from knowing that you can get a job, not necessarily getting fired or getting laid off from a job. It's like knowing I can get another one. It'll be okay.
I like that. You're separating your own sense of confidence from just the external of having a job or not having a job.
Like what you cannot control.
Yeah.
With entering the creative space, I didn't know if there was a career here. And I still don't know to this day.
Yeah.
Like the economics is very strange, very hidden. And it's an emerging industry that still has very strange practices that I disagree with fundamentally, which is why like I had a lot of struggles behind the scenes on the business side. I left management and the hiring aspect was wild, and I've went around management dating a lot to like figure out what is this.
Do you mind talking about some of those, maybe like one or two things that were kind of like, to you felt like, this feels strange and not good?
I think the biggest thing is, as a corporate person and partnerships person, I've done it. I've done what you've done. Except now, because the industry, for the most part, and I don't know if you've seen this, but a lot of managers and agents are quite young. Yeah. And not that I'm like not young. I don't know. I'm not like that old, to be honest. But
it is a young industry, though.
We are more senior than the majority of what we see in that industry. And so I ended up having to coach on this is how you pitch, this is how you write the email. No, this is not what you use. You like sound too nice. Like you don't understand what this says. You're using the wrong terminology. This is the timing of it. I think that was laborious. I was like, why am I giving my 20% to someone I am trying to bill? Like what? I'm confused. And then also I'm so niche. Like I'm not just I think I'm very specific in terms of product management tech, and I'm Taiwanese American, and I have these cultural elements to me. I'm good with the business side. I'm good with the math side. I'm good with the production side. So I just didn't understand what they were doing.
Yeah.
I didn't get it.
I've spoken to a bunch of creators where it's challenging because you've built a brand, and the brand is you, right? And you've worn like every hat in your own personal company. So to be able to find people to come in and help do things at a way that fits for you and delivers on what you want is really challenging. So yeah, definitely hear all of that. I think hiring is, and you talked about kind of earlier this year, like you were trying to build your team, and are you still kind of going through that? Like,
I'm going through it. Like I had an episode on JOMO called "Working with Gen Z is a Nightmare." I'm so sorry, Gen Z. I'm so sorry. My youngest brother is Gen Z. I've gone through his life and his resume and his college essays. Like, bless his soul. But it's a struggle. I think the pandemic really set people back. And I understand the pain and frustration. So hopefully I can create resources to help. But dude, what I heard behind the scenes, I'm just like, did you just say that out loud? Like, ma'am, oh my God. I was shooketh. Janet, I'm shooketh. I'm scared. So that was brutal. And then just having to teach and coach and give feedback. That was really this is like really laborious. And then I felt really like resentful. It's like, oh, maybe I'm just bad, whatever. And then I decided to let go. I actually talked to my friend. I don't know if you know Jimmy Wong from
I think I've met him a couple times.
He's an actor on Mulan and does a lot of other things too. And we went through like a whole reflection session on like, girl, you need to let go. Like this thought is not serving you anymore, and what got you here may not get you there. So let's work that out. And then accept that one day you will find the right match. One day you will do that, and just open up that energy to be positive to it. And then I started hiring again. I think 2 weeks ago or last week, posted for my editor role, and had friends like repost, and like 150 video editors applied, and I went through everyone's portfolio. We're going through test edits and feedback rounds. It's very tiring.
It's
It's hard.
building a team or once you wanting to scale up is a huge challenge. So
Yeah, I've always been so impressed by Wong Fu and ABG for building that team.
Thank you.
It's not easy at all.
Yeah, I will say I feel like our one of the best parts of what we do is our team, and it's really hard to find good people, and it's really hard to build that type of rapport and that morale and everything. So, but I have confidence. It sounds like you have a good amount of submissions. I'm sure you'll figure it out and make it work.
Yeah, I will keep it up.
Kind of closing out we're talking about like the layoff experience for any listeners out there who either feel like they might they're like, oh, I think maybe a layoff is going to come around the corner, or like my company's laying off, I might be leaving. Maybe they just experienced a layoff, or maybe it's been a couple of months and they're trying to get their footing again. Do you have any like advice? Like, what would you offer them?
I think if you're leading up to a layoff, definitely save your impact points and your project details, so you can regurgitate that in your next interview. A lot of people lose access immediately within the hour, so you don't have all of that. Just like the work that you've done, if you wrote a performance review for yourself, try to remember, keep those bullets so you can put that in your resume.
Yeah.
And if there are projects that you didn't get the report out for, get those results, because those will be really, really helpful. When it happens, I think it's shocking, but it'll be okay. It'll be okay. And I think that a lot of friends have gone to me privately after their own layoffs and feeling so horrible about it, and they lost their identity, they lost their confidence. These are incredibly talented people. I've had someone who she was laid off and she did not tell her housemates that she got laid off. She was so ashamed of it for 4 months.
Oh my gosh.
Until she got a new job. So every day they'd be like, oh, how's work? And she's like, great.
Yeah, just holding it inside personally.
Yeah. And I'm not even that close to her. But then a few months later, she told me, and I was the first person she told.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And I'm like, it really does a number to your brain chemistry, your headspace. You feel like it is your fault. But it really isn't. It's more of a reflection of the company than it is of you. And perhaps taking some time to step away from that craziness and then ponder the questions that you've had within the past few years that you never gave yourself space to explore. I think time and space is what a layoff provides. Yeah. And I think in the buzz of working every day, you never get to those deep, deep points of reflection. Yeah. And I think that was extremely refreshing for me. Yeah. Oh, and then when you're ready, just go full throttle. Yeah. Just slay all the interviews. You're going to get it. And you only need one. You really only need one.
Yeah. That was great advice. Thank you so much, Chloe. It's that time of year again, the holidays, which means it is time to get shopping for gifts. My sister recently had a baby, and what better gift for a new mom than super comfy and cute PJs? I am gifting her the soft lounge sleep set from the Skims holiday shop, and I know she is going to love it. And for myself, I'm going to snag the Fits Everybody cheeky briefs and scoop bralettes. The Skims holiday shop has them packaged in the cutest boxes that make for easy stocking stuffers. These festive prints have got me in the holiday spirit. One of my favorite parts of the holidays is getting to spend time with family, just hanging out in our PJs, super low key, enjoying each other's company in extreme comfort. And this year, we're going to be doing that in Skims. If you're still on the lookout for gifts, I definitely recommend checking out Skims. They've got robes, many different types of PJ sets, from long sleeve tees and loose pants to camis and boxers, knit sets to hoodies and more. Shop Skims holiday shop at skims.com. Available in styles for women, men, kids, and even pets. If you haven't yet, be sure to let them know that we sent you. After you place your order, select podcast in the survey and select our show in the drop-down menu that follows. I want to talk about your balancing parallel careers.
Oh my God.
Because while you were, and I think we all know the tech industry can be really intense, right? So you already were building up such an amazing career in partnerships and then product in that route. And then at the same time, you started creating content. And I love watching, I don't know so much about your tech career because I'm not in those meetings with you, but I can definitely see in your content how being in product and working in tech influences that. And I want to do a quick exercise right now.
Ooh.
I'd love if you would put on your product hat and kind of thinking from that business perspective, analyzing yourself as a content creator. And what do you think makes you so successful? Like, what do you think is your unique selling proposition, the USP?
This is an interesting question because I think I try to overanalyze, or I try to analyze, and then it became overanalyzing. I was like, all right, forget it. These numbers are too small to know. I think in the world of content and creativity and storytelling, it's very hard to quantify from the get-go. And the game is to keep going and keep playing until you tweak it and calibrate and iterate until you feel like it's right. And you almost have to have blind faith this is something you would watch and that your target audience would watch. And it was just like no views forever until something hits, and then a moment comes and the gates open, everyone comes in. So it's very interesting. But I will say two things. One, my first superpower within the product space that helps me is being able to hardcore visualize who the end viewer is and speak to them. Like nothing matters if I don't have that person in my mind. So I think that user empathy, if you will, is something that helps me a lot. I see a lot of creators create for themselves, and there's definitely part of that. But if it's just about you, then what's the incentive for the viewer to spend their time on you? And I'm able to like think about when they watch it, what mindset they're in, they might be going through, how would they want to receive it, and I try to speak in that manner. The second is I love starting with a blank slate. So actually a lot of people struggle from corporate to freelance life.
Because it's very different.
You lose structure. I don't know what to do. No one's telling me what to do. I've actually very rarely had that in the last half of my career. So being able to start fresh is like incredible. It's such an opportunity. The blank slate first start is my favorite moment. I love creating frameworks. Like if you got a problem, I have a framework. I'm that girl for you. And I think within my audience space, they know me for recently I made this thing called a life PRD. So, a product requirements document where you spec out why we're building this product, what this product is, what is success, what are the guiding principles and guardrails. So I wrote that for my life this year. So I have like, why am I doing this? What do I care about? Who is this for? What are my guiding principles, and who I am and who I'm not, and what is my positioning within the tech space? I cross two worlds. One is like the business tech world, which is like very male dominated, this is how you 10x your revenue and make like $500,000 and blah, blah, blah. They're very tech-centric too. So they're on Substack, they're on Twitter, they're posting on LinkedIn. They're not very visual heavy. Then you have like the lifestyle vlogger girls. And I think the difference between, I guess my special space is I have, almost a decade's worth of tech experience that I can allude to and share and be like, I've literally gone through this. Here's what needs to happen. Here's what I did. I also am a strong visual storyteller. So I'm not as like stuffy. I hate that stuffy, like, I hate watching it. Like, gross.
Feels like you're at a boot camp and like just trying to get through the,
And lastly, I hate one up, one down relationships in when someone tells you, you need to do this because I'm an omega billionaire. I'm successful. You're not. Therefore, you should listen to me. I find that really icky. So I try to share from a place of, I'm a peer. I'm just a fellow internet coworker. And here's my experience. Take what you will. Hope you're doing okay.
Yeah.
So that's how I try to
I love that. I feel like I was just in a product meeting.
I mean, it's a lot of like sticking to your gut on who you want to be and believing that person is someone that will do well in whatever market. But I would say it's not a hyper growth path. Like many times with JOMO, actually, Eric is exposed to hyper growth, high sensationalized like type of creators. So he's always like, oh, what if we did this topic? And I'm like, Eric, stop. Please
like
stop.
Clickbaity type titles.
We are not going to do that because it would just be rage baiting. And it will get the views, but like, for what? For what?
Yes. I like the digging deeper of for what. That's something at ABG that we focus on a lot is like, what is the mission? Who are we speaking for? What is the purpose of what you're doing? And in the creator space, because it is like the Wild West, which you've, stated, like it can be so easy to just like want to jump on every trend train. So love to hear that you're being really thoughtful. And it definitely comes through how your product background like plays into how you think through your career and your like the storylines that you share with your audience.
Yeah.
But, like we've said, these two industries, both technology, specifically product and technology, and then also being a content creator, there's such like hot, sexy careers right now. And I'd love if you share with people like what.
Oh, sexy.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's like, like a lot of like young kids are like, I want to be a content creator, But I'm curious if there are like, what are some of the big like misconceptions that you wish people understood about what it actually is to work in technology and product and also to be a content creator?
Wow. Okay. So I actually read this question and I interpreted it differently. My bad.
Oh,
So-
wait, how did you interpret it?
Oh, I thought you meant like misconceptions for people who do both.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm curious about that too.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Let me think about the tech piece.
Yeah,
Misconceptions about the tech piece. Well, I think the thing that I struggled with in tech is that software engineers and hard STEM, hard engineering type roles are put on a pedestal. Like, I don't know if you felt this way. You are a second-class citizen if you're not that.
Yeah.
And you are treated so horrifically and you get none of your stuff prioritized and like they can treat you horribly. Like when I was working at Google, I remember software engineers would like say, we have a real job.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Excuse me?
I noticed that so I worked in tech in LA, so maybe I think it might be different depending on like the city and the
There's
industry.
definitely an ego.
Yeah. Well, in LA, it's interesting because people who were in the product role on the business side usually had like a greater upper hand. But I think in the Bay Area, usually it's so like
It's not
it's
at
so
all.
tech heavy. Yeah. The engineers literally are like kings.
They are.
Yeah. They're totally.
Yeah. Even as a product manager, I think product was like the closest you can get to having your word being listened to.
Yeah.
But product is such a new career path that in the world, if you're a product manager, you're basically useless. Like no one respects you. But within Silicon Valley, I think it's a very, very incredible wave. At Google, at Uber, at Lyft, at Meta, it's been something so specific and like some of the smartest people I've ever met, most humble. But there came a time when I had a disagreement with an engineer and they like flipped out and they were immature. And I talked to one of my directors and they were like, Chloe, I think this is one of those moments where you just have to eat shit. And I'm like, and she's like, I know it sounds horrible. They're definitely wrong. You are the product manager and sometimes you just have to rub their egos and just take it because this is not the hill to die on.
Yeah.
This is not it. They have not. Like I don't mean it. Kevin, my husband, is an engineer, and and we are all friends with a lot of engineers.
Yeah.
And I studied engineering, so it was fascinating from like a superior to be like, just eat the shit.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, that's shocking, but it'd be like that sometimes.
Yeah.
So that was tech, and then I think within content, the biggest surprise. I don't know if you've seen this.
Yeah.
The biggest surprise is that everyone's fighting their own demons hard. No matter how put together they are online.
Yes.
So many people I've met who I'm just like, oh my God, you're incredible. And I meet them and they are not doing well.
Yeah.
Extremely depressed. They are not going to make it. They have so many insecurities, anxieties, and pain that they carry every day. So I think that was extremely surprising.
Yeah. I mean, what is it that they say that oftentimes social media is like a highlight reel of someone's life, right? And for any general user, that's going to be the case. But if your job is to create content, it becomes extra pronounced.
Oh
right?
my God. It's very crafted.
Yeah.
Every scene, every picture is so crafted. And I think I mean, I really like this quote, don't compare your behind the scenes to someone else's highlight reel.
Yes, yeah.
I think when I consume, when I feel like I'm hate scrolling, I really dislike that feeling. So I do my best to not do that.
Yeah. Oh, hate scrolling. I've heard doom scrolling, but hate scrolling, is that coming from a place of like...
You hate watch it. Like you want it. You hate them for it, but you still want it.
Yeah.
And you still watch it. And that's a bad relationship with yourself.
Yeah.
You're like, I'm not there.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Speaking of content creation, you literally are in front of a camera like all of the time. You've shared in some of your content that you have had periods where you kind of like maybe struggle a bit with your like personal style, feeling
Dude,
feminine.
yeah. Did you ever feel this way?
Yes. I've openly shared, and I think like especially in the past year, like I've been experimenting with fashion and things like
With
that.
your yoga videos?
Trying out.
Yes.
But it's very, because you talk about kind of being in this intersection of kind of, you develop things that are very like kind of like for product, and there are people who are like career oriented in that way. And then there's like the very aesthetic soft girl kind of thing. It is like, being part of your job as a content creator is to be able to appeal to that.
Mm-hmm.
And my natural, like I am a jeans and a t-shirt kind of girl. So, like how has it been for you trying to adjust to that?
It was hard for sure.
Yeah.
Because like as a corporate person, you just don't have time to shop.
Yes.
To put makeup on. Like
it's
what?
not a priority at all. It
Like,
doesn't reflect your job as much as, yeah.
Yeah, like you just wake up, you kind of put your hair back, and then you go.
Yeah.
And you're on that shuttle, you're on the commute, you come back, you're exhausted, you sleep. So I think in the creator space, everyone is just like gorgeous. Everyone is stunning.
Yeah.
And they have the best outfits and the most top-notch makeup, skincare, everything. So I think it was like a moment of insecurity at first, but then it became like, all right, maybe I can use this for a chance to explore different colors on me. And for a very strange, like I still can't put my finger on this, maybe because I grew up with boys and I don't have sisters, and yeah. I think when I put myself in new makeup and new outfits, I felt like almost a new woman.
Yeah.
And I was like, ooh, who's she?
Yeah.
And it was fun.
Yeah.
It was fun. But it was hard and it's expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm like, what? Why would anyone pay for this? Like, Aritzia be expensive.
Yeah,
Like, Mabel be expensive.
Yes. Yeah. I know at the beginning of ABG, Mel was the person that she would be like, selecting outfits for us and do all of that. And I feel like I really took for granted because now I'm like, okay, I have to like kind of do this for myself and feel comfortable in my own style and things like that. And it's definitely, it's a different experience. But like you said, I love that you focused on it can be a really positive thing. And that's what I'm trying to be playful with it. And there's so many things that it can be another tool that you have, right? Like an asset that you can use within your space.
I didn't understand the power of getting ready for your day. Like when you have a big day, like even today, I'm just like, oh, I don't know what to wear.
Yeah.
Oh God. I think feeling good about the morning process, to be like, I got my outfit on, I had my morning routine on, and I put my lashes on, you're going to have a bomb diggity day.
Yeah.
You're going to slay, like no matter what.
Yes. Yeah.
So it's the little wins, and I support it.
Yes.
I support it.
Yeah. Love to see it. Well, you look gorgeous, so.
Thank you.
So yeah, I mean, you've done a lot of exploring in the content space, in the tech space. You're taking a gap year. Where do you sit now kind of in, like, do you feel like you're liking one more than the other? Do you like the idea of a hybrid career? Kind of how are you feeling now?
Bro,
Yeah.
that's been up and down, like flip-flop
I can only imagine.
all year.
Yeah.
I was agonizing. Like I was doom scrolling LinkedIn, looking at jobs. I'm like, oh, I should interview here, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But I think I'm just forcing myself not to. So to give myself that space, it's so easy to revert back to what you know.
Yeah.
And so hard. People, I think from the outside, I've been told, oh, you look like you have everything together. Nah, dude. Every video is so hard for me. To be on screen, to write that, to film it, it's like excruciating. Like I don't know what it's going to look like. And I have to dedicate myself to fix everything and create it. It's not natural. So to build that creativity muscle, it's all this year for me. All I know is that when I really love tech, actually, like surprisingly, after I got laid off, I was like, oh, I started reading about tech news and products and trying out different things more so than before.
Yeah.
Another interesting thing is I'm a tech career creator, so I get a lot of tech type products that come to me for brand partnerships before they're launched. So I get to be part of their betas and understand their positioning and why they wanted to take this bet forward. For example, I was one of the creators for LinkedIn Games when they launched, and that's just like such a left field type product. It's like, what? Why? But now I get it, and I see the vision forward, and I get to be in those conversations. The third thing is I do realize I think I can create content for like forever. Yeah.
Oh. Even though you say right now, like every video is really challenging and very hard, is it because you know that this is just the beginnings and you're getting used to something?
I think my biggest why is I never want to feel erased again. Yeah. And back when I was breaking records on my projects, my name would not be on the article. My name would not be on the slide because I wasn't visible enough. Even if I spearheaded everything, I owned it, I pitched it, I proposed it. The director, like 3 levels above, got their name on it. And I always felt, well, what's the point of me here?
Yeah.
And it was very, very painful. So ever since then, that's why like I moved to social media to share. I worked on that project. It's at least real to me somewhere, somehow. And I think me representing that in content has been huge. Yeah, I really want to fight for it.
Yeah. So you're kind of seeing that you like being at the intersection of both and you plan to continue working in both forever.
But I can't go back to what I used to do, which is both full time. That was awful. I would throw up. Like that's just so much.
Yeah.
But I want to see how I can somehow do both in a sustainable way. Yeah, because like, I got family planning and it's like, it's a lot of
Those
work.
are a lot of things that we have to think about at this age,
bro,
right?
yeah. Come on, it's real. It's scary. I'm gonna get tired. I have to sleep 9 hours. Like I can't be going out, staying up.
Yeah. So you like both, but you're just like not gonna be doing both full time and still trying to figure out the right kind of like way to have both in your life sustainably.
Yeah, I don't know what the answer is yet, but all I know this year creativity, next year explore how to bring tech back in.
Yeah. Well, I love that. Well, I mean, actually, speaking of that, your new podcast, JOMO, which you've launched with your co-host Eric Way.
Yeah.
I love listening to it because I think it is such a good.
You listen to it.
I do. I think I listen to like every episode.
You're a Jomi. Oh my god.
Yeah, but I mean, I think, well, you just kind of being so open about sharing like, oh, I know I like both. I don't know where things are going. I mean, both of you are obviously like high achieving, very successful individuals, right? At such a young age, you both have accomplished things that some people will never be able to reach in their career. And you talk about, though, that experience and now how you, like, what is your definition of success and what is the next step and how you're working through that in real time and being very honest with your audience. Given that, I'm curious, like, when you think about your definition of success now, what is that? And then like reflect back to like 10 years ago. Has it changed? Like what's been the delta?
Oh my God, yes. It really has changed a lot because before I think I was just surviving as an immigrant low-income family, eldest daughter, had to really make it. So it really was like a financial career. Like, am I going to get a job? Am I going to be able to pay rent? Am I able to raise a family?
Yeah.
And I think after becoming a product manager, I made my first 6 figures in tech and I was like, oh my God, it changed everything. I was in a totally different socioeconomic bracket and I was able to finally go out to dinner without looking at how much it was. That's a very different life to live.
Yeah.
It's so crazy. I was able to move out of my like dungeon of an apartment with horrific roommates and then pay for my own 1-bedroom in San Francisco, which is very expensive.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And all of that happened in the span of what, like a couple of years, right?
Probably it took me maybe 4 years to get there, 5 years, something like that.
Yeah, but it's such a big drop, like to what you're saying, like the mindset, the lifestyle, all of that, to have that change happen in the period of 4 years is a lot.
I know. So to finally be at a point where I can invest money and I can grow a future and I can not worry about, you want to go out to eat? Like, I'm okay. Yeah, I'll see you next time.
Yeah.
I think that's very different. Like I can take on opportunities and just pay for the Uber there.
Yeah.
That's different. And pay for be there for my brothers and pay for them and take them out. Like that's huge.
Yeah.
And I'm so privileged to finally get here. And I hope that a lot of people get to really realize that reality for themselves and then start on the things that they always wanted to do in the back of their mind and their heart of hearts. So today, what success looks like is, I think that at this stage, after your basic needs are met, when you visualize what your heart really wants, that inner desire, today you get to say, oh, I'm just going to do that. And when that happens, that alignment of like, I've always wanted to do that too, I'm doing that today, those are the happiest days of my life. Like today, I think for so long for work, I always said, wow, I have to do this. I have to do this. I have to do this. I have no choice. And it shifted to, wow, I get to do this. I finally get to do this. That's crazy. I can't believe it. That is, what else can you ask for?
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh, that's beautiful. Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you for asking.
Yeah. I mean, well, thinking back to even just like creating the podcast, were there challenges that you didn't anticipate? Like,
Oh my
what's
God.
been the hardest part?
My girl. Okay. Yo, you think this is easy? You think like just sitting here and just
talking.
chatting
Yeah.
and yapping is easy? There's so much more that goes behind the scenes. Like there's recording day for sure.
Yeah.
And then there's planning for it. And then there's post. And then there's hiring. And there's like, how do you make money from this?
Yeah.
And then it's the chemistry of everyone. And everyone has to be in a mental, emotional place to have these conversations.
Yes.
Yeah. There are arguments. There are disagreements. There are misalignments. I think the hardest piece was I could not get the workload down to less than 2.5 days of every single week of my life. Like all of Sunday and Monday and a couple of other days were gone, like pieces of other days.
Yeah.
And that's just too much for someone who's not doing podcast full time.
Yeah.
It's like it's always been a side thing for me, and I need to go on my journey and do that. Like the pod is capturing that
Yes,
journey,
yeah.
but I couldn't because podcasts are weekly and they're urgent, but not necessarily important in my stack rank of projects.
Yeah.
So I stopped posting on YouTube. I stopped posting as much. I stopped posting for like 3 weeks.
You found it was like starting to take over other projects that were of higher
Yeah.
priority for you.
I think the biggest thing was like hiring the producer and the editors. And I've had some horror stories where we had to stay up until 4 a.m. on Monday nights before publish because of the mistakes that other people made that we've already prevented long ago.
Yeah.
But they just, for whatever reason, made the craziest mistakes.
Yeah,
And we're
yeah.
like, no way, dude, you're out. This is
Oh my gosh.
this is a horrific offense. All right, cool. So that was a struggle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are there any like challenges with your like co-hosts in terms of like being on the same
Yes.
page? I mean, you talked a little
Yes.
bit about maybe just like your different backgrounds and different maybe like content
Yeah.
strategy or like visions.
Yeah. First of all, love Eric. He's definitely a brother to me. We have this insane sibling energy where we roast each other all the time. But the man is psychotic.
Yeah.
Man is like,
In what way?
You're working. You're a CEO of a startup company. You have your own podcast. You're at every single event. You host pickleball on the weekends. You're literally everywhere all the time, every single day. And I'm so glad he joined me on JOMO, but it got to a point where I think he was open about this. He went through a breakup. And like after that, I think that was really tough.
Yeah.
Like for me to emotionally support him when he is, I told him like to his face, and I think he's okay with this because we talked about this openly, but he didn't give himself the space to heal as much. And it was affecting his sleep. So he would sleep at 6 a.m. and I'd be like,
I
bro,
feel that. Eric, I feel
bro.
you. I know. I went through a breakup and
Breakups do that to you.
Yeah.
But I told him you deserve the space to heal.
to heal. Yeah.
To find who you are again.
Yeah.
To take yourself on dates by yourself without me. And
Yeah,
without
me.
without it being on JOMO. Because
Oh,
I would
I
listen to
see.
it before and after and be like,
Oh,
my
I
guy.
see, I see. It's a lot.
like, take it easy.
Yeah, yeah.
And then I think a break helps you reset. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
So it was a really hard conversation to tell one of
Yeah.
your friends, hey man, I think you're having post-depression blues.
Yeah.
And here's how it's functionally affecting my life, where you're staying up late and then you're coming to recording late and I have
Yeah,
to like
yeah.
set up everything. Let's take a break.
Yeah.
Like that was a hard thing for me to say out loud. And I think it came from love, and he knew it came from love, and we
Yeah.
hugged it out, and I think we have such a good relationship where we can tell each other hard things and we understand it's for the love of the
Yeah.
friendship.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that example captures perfectly like the interesting dynamic for like podcasting or maybe just like content, like sharing about your life, because it's not just professional and it's also not personal only. It's like a blend of the two, right?
Yeah.
So how do you strike a balance of being able to like support and celebrate sharing such personal things, but then also doing it in a manner that is like respectful when it's like somewhat of, it's not like a job, but you know, you're creating a project with someone. There's like boundaries of how
Your
you want it
friends,
to be run.
too.
Yeah, yeah.
It's hard to tell a friend hard things.
Yeah.
But we did that. And to Eric's credit, he like changed like within the week.
Oh.
He made it an effort. He started sleeping more. We started having really good recording sessions because he wasn't like spazzing out and being like, "Oh, where are we?"
Yeah.
And I really love seeing that growth.
Yeah.
And I'm excited for his like next stage of life too.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we still hang out. Like we're still hanging out.
Yeah. Well, you just wrapped season 1 and you
Yes.
have season 2 in the works.
Yeah.
What are some things that maybe for listeners out there who want to check out JOMO, what can they expect coming up?
We're still deciding that, but what we had a little retro debrief of
Yeah,
season
yeah.
1, and we went through all of our work, and it was like, oh, which resonated more? I think 2 things or 3 things. 1, new set. It's not going to be at my place. We're actually going to do it at Eric's place. Actually, Lore DIY went to completely renovate Eric's place because he lived in a dungeon with no furniture. Like he literally, I think,
a
had a
man
yoga
cave.
mat. Seriously, it's disgusting. He's so gross. He has a squat rack and then a bed with no bed frame, with
wow.
no blanket. It's just a bed.
Oh, Eric.
And it's just like, my guy, I would never come over. Yeah. And so now there's a new set. That's that. The second is having guests on, which is going to be dope.
Yeah.
Because we weren't sure how guests were going to work out. And the third is focusing a little bit more on the personal growth and self-reflection side. I think one of our videos was 33 lessons I learned by 33. And that resonated deeply with a lot of people.
Yeah.
I think when you're in a podcast mood, you want to figure out how to grow. And
Yeah.
So keep that up. So yeah, those are, I think, 3 that we're looking at.
Oh, that's amazing. Well, for anyone out there, where can they find you on JOMO if they haven't checked it out yet?
I think it's JOMO.pod on Instagram and JOMO Pod everywhere else. So YouTube, Instagram are probably your best bets, or you can just DM me or Eric.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, now we have a couple of for fun questions. Chloe, are you ready for these?
I love fun.
Okay. So the first question, if you could go back and talk to Chloe in her Discord era, what is one piece of advice you would give her, knowing what you know now?
I think is to trust your gut. Like you don't have to. I think interesting thing about Discord is that it's much smaller. It was when I joined, it was like a few hundred people.
Yeah.
Like 200 to 400 people, and then it grew to 1,000 people.
Oh, that's a huge jump.
Yeah, but it's not as big as Meta or Google when it's in the 30,000s or 100,000s. So those worlds were extremely process oriented, like red tape, corporate red tape. You had to go through the Asana, you had to go through the forums, you had to go through approval queues. But then at Discord, I think I implemented process a bit too much, and I didn't follow if I cut out all like that, the noise, what are we actually doing? I think I didn't learn that until like a year in. So I wish I learned to follow my gut and build conviction and lead with that instead of like, oh, here's all the validation points I need for you to believe that my conviction's right. I'm just going to be like, this is what I believe in. Here's a through line and here's a story I see. Do you understand that as a human? Because that narrative works. So I'll go from the problem and telling me the story of how Discord plays into the problem. I think that muscle I had to grow at Discord. That was like a hard one.
That's a great piece of advice. I think especially in tech, it can be, or I'm sure other industries as well, very numbers driven. But at the end of the day, if you're building for people, learning to get back in touch with that very like human part, that's very great. Do you have a dream company that you want to work for?
I feel like there's so many. There's so many. Like I love Notion. I love Netflix. I love YouTube. Actually, TK, director of product at YouTube for YouTube creators, was like, oh, we have open headcount. But he was like, it's probably too junior for you. And I'm like, yeah, sorry about that.
That must
but
be so
keep me
hard right
posted.
now. Like you're saying, you get tempted with a lot of these like, you know, roles at companies that you're like, oh, I would love that. Oh, that would be great. But you're trying to kind of keep yourself like accountable to not just jump back in full time, right?
Yeah, it's very easy to just do that.
Yeah.
I think the hardest part about, okay, I'm a little tangent, but I think what's easy about working at a company is at every social function, you get to say, I work at XYZ company. And that's your identity. Yes.
Yeah.
So when you leave that, who do you become?
Yeah.
And that's why every creator goes through an existential crisis. Yeah. They're like, who am I? What do I do? What am I actually doing here? And I'm sure you guys gone through the exercises. It's fascinating to see when someone doesn't give you the answer, how do you come up with it? That's the muscle of this year.
Yeah. Have you been practicing? Like, is there kind of a way that you'll introduce yourself to people now?
I really just say that I was previously worked in tech as a product manager, and now I do full-time content for the year, and I create educational videos about career stories and life advice.
That sounds
Yeah.
like a great, you have your pitch down.
I think that's like functionally what it is. Yeah, so, but I don't know. I don't know if there's a perfect answer, and that's
There
fine.
isn't. Yeah.
But it's also being comfortable with the fact that I no longer can lean on this other brand. Funnily enough, I saw this with the Ivy League world, with people who went to Ivy League schools where like Harvard is their personality.
Yeah.
And people who went to non-brand name schools, they would never lead with their school. They'd be like, I am this person. I love this.
Yeah.
It's about what you do and what you love versus the school and the brand that has, decades of history that people project onto you. Yeah. It's very
That's a great
fascinating.
tip, is to think about kind of who you are, what you work, maybe like what you're passionate about, and using that as an identifier versus like a brand,
Yeah. That was like so hard, but also if I go back to work, then it becomes easy again. And that was a temptation. I was like,
It's too easy.
what the heck am I doing?
Yeah.
Can I go back? It's just,
Yeah.
yeah. But again, it's like easy and hard. It's like not easy to work there, but
Yes.
an easy fallback.
Yeah. I understand that tension. Yeah.
Tension. Good
Tension
word.
for sure. Yeah. Okay. Well, thinking about tech now, if you had to delete all the apps on your phone except for 3, which 3 apps would you keep?
I mean, does a camera app count?
I guess it does. Yeah.
Yeah, like what?
Yeah, you can only have 3 if your phone could only do 3 things.
It would be the camera app, iMessage, and calendar. Like,
Very functional. Very functional.
dude, what else do you use your phone for?
I don't know. Some people might have like games or like a social media app. No, you're very like calendar. What was it? Camera and your
iMessage.
Yeah.
To talk to people. Yeah, like that was what the original function of the phone was. Or I guess calling, but I guess, I don't know.
But it is, to communicate with people.
Yeah.
Okay, the next question might seem kind of random, but
I like random.
it's put in. So for your videos, you cut watermelon.
I do.
We're just curious, why watermelon? As it just of all the fruits.
It was random.
Yeah.
Like I'd be cutting random things. And then one day, I bought a watermelon because I wanted to eat it. And then I was like, oh, I had to film this video. But you know how there's a trend where people get readies with me?
Yeah.
And it's a visual hook because there's something to see at the end.
Yeah.
And you're kind of fascinated by what they're going to tell you. And it feels like they're a friend talking to you.
Yeah.
I personally couldn't do it for 2 reasons. One, it's really hard to put makeup and talk.
Yeah.
The second reason is I didn't want to like add to the consumerism of, oh, there's this product.
Buy this product. Yeah.
At that time in my life, I couldn't afford $50 foundation. Like, what the heck?
Yeah,
That's so expensive. Why would I ever when I could just be bare,
Yeah.
be me? So I didn't want to contribute to that narrative of like girls need
Totally.
to have a bunch of makeup products.
Yeah.
But I really love fruits. I'm Taiwanese.
Yeah.
We love our fruits. We're tropical island. I was like, I looked at my watermelon. It looked at me back. And then we're like, I guess we're doing you on video. We're doing this. And so I just cut it. And then I think I did a couple, and then it started to become a thing.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, I got to stick to this now.
Yeah. So it was your visual hook that you kind of went with. Is that or I don't know, is that the proper term for?
I think it is the proper term. At that time, it was more like, you can't just talk, you got to do something while talking.
An activity, yeah.
And if it wasn't get ready with me, what is it?
And the watermelon as a fruit, just because that's like what you had on you. And
Yeah, I love fruits. I'm not that good at cooking. Like I have to be very focused. to cook.
It's hard to do that while. Yeah.
But watermelon's not hard. You just dun. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
I feel like cutting fruit can be challenging, so I commend you because I'm just in the kitchen. It's like not a good scene for me.
Yeah, it's hard, but it's not that hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So you talked about being Taiwanese. What is your favorite Taiwanese dish?
Ooh, owa-miso. Do you know?
Oh.
阿州面线. It's like oyster vermicelli.
Oh my
noodles.
gosh, yes. That's one
Yeah.
of my mom's favorite.
Yeah.
Oh, I haven't had it in so long.
It's so good. Otherwise, it's just beef noodle soup. Have you ever been to Corner Beef Noodle in, I think, Monterey Park or Alhambra?
Oh, I don't think so.
Yeah, it's got to be like the best in this area by far. If you ever go out to 66, Corner Beef Noodle.
Corner beef noodle. Okay.
I
So
had
good
it like
for
last
anyone.
weekend, and I'm just like thinking about it every day.
Who is a creator that you look up to?
Wow. Okay. Let me think about this. I feel like I like different pieces of creators.
Yeah.
But I think the root of the question is like, what inspires you? Like, who inspires you? And I really, really like several creators, but they're not necessarily people I watch all the time. I think, do you know Ludwig?
Ludwig.
He's like a streamer on YouTube.
Oh.
I'm a Ludbud. So he streams on YouTube and was a Twitch streamer too, variety. He's just really funny. And then he creates YouTube content as well. And he has a commentary channel and he has a podcast and he hosts events for the streamer community and for the gaming community. And I think doing that, all of that is really hard.
Yeah. One person.
And he has a production company and I think a Smash company, like a Melee company. I think Smash.gg went under and he just hired all of their employees.
Oh, he just acquired everyone.
Yeah, just to give them jobs. And I'm like, that's so Chad.
Oh.
It's like you create economic opportunity for an industry you care about.
Yeah.
Plus, you don't just like, I think, sit on your butt to record videos. I mean, that's hard too.
Yeah.
But he's doing so much more. And I'm like, wow, you really do a lot. Then that's insane. So I really like him. I really like Lily Pichu. She's like a streamer as well. And she's really creative and funny. She creates music. And then I think, and she draws, and she's a very well-rounded creative.
Yeah.
I like my friend, oh my God, Adrian, who's a film director, award-winning film director. And he has been such a homie to me. He like calls me up multiple times a day to be like, yo, you are too talented to be suffering like this. Like, you need to get on your butt and do X, Y, Z. And I'm like, yeah, Adrian, I hear you. And then I also just get inspired by other forms of art, like anime. I went to the IU concert this year. That was inspirational. And then I'm watching the Arcane premiere for season 2 this week. So I'm pretty sure that'll be a wave of inspiration.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for being here with us today, Chloe, and sharing about your story. You are doing such amazing work, and I'm excited to follow along.
Oh, thank you.
Are there any projects that are upcoming that you want to kind of leave our listeners with?
Yeah, so if you've been watching my stuff, you know that I've been heads down working on my 30 Lessons by 30 video series, which is one video per lesson posted every single day. So that's insane.
Ooh, that is an ambitious, but you can do it.
It's very overwhelming. And then I'm planning, the next big project is I'm planning my official wedding next year. Yeah.
Ooh, wedding planning for 2025.
Yeah. It's a lot. I'm overwhelmed. Overwhelmed. It's been it's been pulling teeth for me.
Yeah. Any last words that you want to leave for our listeners?
I just want to say how insane it is for me to be here on ABG, because I would say, like, when ABG came out, I think every Asian girl who worked a job listened to it. It was like there was no other podcast at all. It was such a trailblazing podcast. And I think it gave me a spark of like, if they can do it and they look like me, I look like them. Wait, is this something I can do too?
Yeah.
Like, I've never had that switch for me. It's always been this has been my path. It's predetermined. This is forever. But to explore different realms of yourself and be able to have an itch and scratch it and have a little dream and not like slap it away, that does wonders to a person in their life. So I think that to me back then was really formative.
Yeah.
And I'm very thankful to be here today.
Oh, well, thank you, Chloe. You are an example. So, I mean, like I said, from the beginning, your story is really inspiring, and you just as a person are so authentic. And I think that you, of all content creators, of all people with tech careers, I just am very, very personally proud and happy to see you representing the Asian American woman experience on those fronts. So, yeah.
Wow.
Thank you.
Thank you, to hear it from Janet. Like, you get it. You get it.
Yeah,
Thank
you
Janet.
are amazing. You are one of like the top people that I look at, and I'm like, I'm very, very proud to be represented by you. So
Whoa, high praise. You're making me blush here. Thank you, Janet.
Yeah, but thank you for being on this episode. And for our listeners, we hope you enjoyed this. Leave some comments for Chloe, and maybe we'll have her answer questions there.
Yeah.
And with that, we will catch you all on the next episode.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
I want to give a quick shout out to our ABG bestie for today's episode, Tina Liu from Daly City. Tina, thank you so much for your support. You are the reason why we're able to keep the show going. Thank you so much, and I hope to catch you on one of our monthly Dear ABGs very soon.